Well, hello everybody. It's episode 135. Hey, hey, and no dot dot dot. Oh, I just did it. Dot dot dot. It's a Rays Day 2004 style. We are moving right along in the Rays history. Well, in 2004, it was the Rays' 7th year in existence. Here, there's their team card. It's the Rays. See how Topps did that? Right there. The card's got a little silver lettering up top. Down here's a nice little Tampa Bay Rays. Says Tampa Bay Rays. There's some stats on the back, all that kind of thing. But is it going to be another miserable, horrible season? Excuse me. This is the first year that they did not finish in last place in the American League East. They finished in 4th place. Can you believe that? Unbelievable. Finally, they are not in the cellar. Thank you, Toronto Blue Jays, for being in last place. This year, the manager was Mr. Lou Piniella. And we'll back this up a little bit. Lou Piniella was manager his 2nd year, so things were looking up now that they were 70 and 91, 3 games above the Blue Jays. This seemed like a great trade for Randy Winn, all-star, for Lou Piniella. But it took a few more years before anything really happened. The only notable transaction that the Rays made halfway through the season, they traded their ace, Victor Zambrano. You're going to see a Victor Zambrano card here because he was the starting day pitcher, to the Mets, along with someone else. I think his name was something Fortunan or Fortune something. But traded him for Scott Kazmir, who pitched a very long time in the majors. But on opening day, this is what your Tampa Bay Devil Rays looked like. In left field, we had Carl Crawford. Yep, he was a staple here for a long time. Had a great career as a Devil Ray. As you see also with these 2004 Topps, the silver letting down on the bottom, they also have little players with their position listed, whether it's second base or their number. I think it's their number, but kind of shows that a la 1974, but I like, or 73, I like these not as much. So in left field, we have Carl Crawford. In center field, and it's not even the center fielder, it's a third baseman. Damian Rolls started the very first game. He had a couple seasons here with the Rays, nothing too spectacular. Actually, Aubrey Huff would play most of the games over at third. And then in center field, we have the now manager of the Minnesota Twins, Hitman 23, we got a rookie cup. It's Rocco Baldelli. Then the aforementioned Aubrey Huff, he was our starting designated hitter. He also played in the outfield. He also played first base. He was all-around player. Played for the Giants and the Astros afterwards and was kind of grumpy. But Aubrey Huff was our opening day designated hitter. And then out in the outfield, in right field, taking over for Ben Grieve, Jose Cruz Jr. Again, we expected huge stuff out of him. Right field has kind of been one of those positions for the Rays. We expected great stuff. I mean, he had a solid career, but nothing spectacular. Then, at first base, if everyone remembers, Mr. Tino Martinez. Yep, he was our opening day first baseman after some time with the Mariners and the Yankees and the Cardinals, I believe. Then he became our first baseman. Opening day 2004. Then our shortstop, and a really good shortstop, our first really solid shortstop, it was Julio Lugo over at short. I always liked Julio Lugo. And then our catcher, and he was a catcher for a few years. Actually, he still hangs around the area, Tampa Bay area. He's got a couple charity events, a golf tournament. We see him at the Rays Fest. Toby Hall. Toby Hall, always liked Toby Hall. And then our starting second baseman, no card for him. At least this year, there was in 2003, was Ray Sanchez. And like I mentioned earlier, our starting pitcher was Mr. Victor Zambrano. And he ended up going, like I said, to the Mets. And I think he went to the Cubs after the Mets. I'm not exactly sure. Some other notables that we had a 7-year major leaguer, Joey Gathright, right here. He played 3 of those 7 years with the Rays. In 2004, he played 19 games for us. Yep, 19 games. Also, we've got Johnny Gomes. He was a staple for 13 years in the majors, 6 of them with the Rays. He played in a bunch of World Series, a bunch of playoffs, played for the Reds, the Red Sox, the A's, traveled around a lot. But 2005 was actually his breakout year. As you see, this is the Tampa Bay Devil Rays prospect card. And then we have a dual player card. We've got Delmon Young and B.J. Upton. B.J. Upton was drafted in the first round. This is B.J. here, Melvin Upton Jr. But he was drafted in the first round. He was the second pick in the first round. He did come up and play a few games, not tons. He did end up having 41 hits for the Rays as a 19-year-old. And as you see up top there's Delmon Young. He stuck around the majors for a while with the Rays. He played 3 years, also played with the Twins, the Orioles, moved around a little bit, played in Australia. And actually last year he was the MVP in the Venezuelan Professional Baseball League. And he was playing for a team that I can't pronounce. But he was also that team's very first MVP in the history of their team. So he's still playing. He's still a young guy. He's in his early 30s, I believe. And then, I know I've said his name before, and he's been in other videos, Mr. Ben Grieve. Yep, right fielder, didn't pan out for the Rays. Ben Grieve. Also, a couple other players that really didn't play in 2004 because Ben Grieve did leave for free agency after 2003. He ended up with the Brewers, and I think he played for a couple other teams. And also was Marlon Anderson. He was granted his free agency also after 2003. And he went on and he played for the Cardinals. Cardinals picked him up. I don't know if he played, and he bounced in and out of some teams. Nothing exciting. Then we have infielder, second baseman, Fernando Cortez. He spent all of 2004 with the Montgomery Biscuits, the team that makes you hungry. In 2005, he did make his debut with the Rays, or Devil Rays, sorry, and he only played in a handful of games, 8 maybe. That was the highlight of his career. The Rays also picked up free agent, and he's mostly known as a Detroit Tiger, Robert Frick. Signed as a free agent, but he didn't even make it through the entire year. He was released in August, and then after 76 games, played for a few other teams after that, but his career kind of fizzled out. The only other starter that garnered a card for Topps in this year, even though we had John Halama, but he didn't get a card, was Dewan Brazelton, and he ended up with a 6-8 record. Our closer, I believe he ended up going to the Dodgers eventually, was Danny Baez from Miami. And then another solid reliever that we had for several years in our bullpen was Lance Carter. And I think he went to the Rockies after he left us. I'm not sure. I'll have to look into that, but I know that there's some more Lance Carter coming in a couple more years here. And then we have Mr. Jeremy Gonzalez. In 2004, he had 8 starts for the Rays. Whopping record of 0-5. That's 0 wins and 5 losses. Another gentleman that pitched for us for a few years. He did pitch 26 games for the Rays in 2004, and he's also a Rays prospect, is Chad Godin. A couple more cards to show you out of the 2004 Topps Tampa Bay Devil Rays, and this one here is Mike Williams. He came over as a free agent. We thought he was going to be a solid pitcher. He had 12 years in the majors, and he pitched 0 games for the Tampa Bay Devil Rays. Also, we've got Mr. Damian Moss, and he pitched in 5 games for the Rays. He actually played several years, 5 or more years in the majors, I believe. But he really didn't pan out with the Devil Rays. We picked him up. His best year, he was 12-6 with the Atlanta Braves. But in 2004, he played in 5 games for the Rays, and his ERA was 16.88. So, there we have it. The 2004 Tampa Bay Devil Rays. They went in 4th place above the Toronto Blue Jays. So until next time, this is MP Fox. Peace!